What if, instead of a vaccine, we just were able to get exposed to a weak version of the virus that enabled us to build the antibodies we need to fight the real thing? Ooh, okay, what if, and hear me out here, instead of alphabets, we used lines to create characters that, when assembled, could be formed into words? Oh, this guy's a genius. No wonder he's got MD. Hey everyone, my name is Jake and welcome to Murdered by Words, where we're going to be looking at the best insults, comebacks, and roasts, putting them all together and making Murdered by Words. Most of the time, it's just insulting people on Facebook who think COVID vaccine is fake, but there's some others, so enjoy. Ha! No doubt drawn by a man with no knowledge of how armor actually works. Molded breast cups are not only dangerous to the wearer, but they are potentially deadly. They're ridiculous male fantasy BS because boys like to look at boobs. The Mandalorian armors from the show were actually designed by a woman, Troy. Maybe if you weren't so busy telling us about the viability of women's armor in the 16th century and you did a tiny scrap of research, you'd find that out. Didn't someone debunk it as well? They said that it's to deflect like laser fire, so literally no history can tell you otherwise. It's made up for the show, bro. Pressure on the United Kingdom as new coronavirus spreads and dozens of countries impose travel bans. Oh, wakey article. The 1969 H3N2, the Hong Kong flu back then, affected people, pets, and even zoo animals. The death toll was 4 million, 4 times that of COVID, and they did not wear masks. No social distancing, did not destroy jobs and small businesses. Even Woodstock took place in the middle of the pandemic, and he links an article. Yeah, Winston, COVID isn't the flu, H3N2 was. They're from different viruses. The US death toll was approximately 100k, and it mostly affected people under 65. If they had had masks and followed a similar protocols as we are, some are, the number of deaths and cases would have been much lower, because H3N2 was closely related to the 1957 pandemic. Many people were immune. The total deaths were around 1 million. That's half, not 4 times. And furthermore, total deaths denotes when it was over. COVID isn't. Nowhere near it. If you insist on shooting yourself in the foot, I'd be more than happy to take your other shoe off and help you to reload. Glad to see you're wearing a mask. That's a start. Now try taking your finger out of your butt. I still get confused by the argument of, oh, it's nothing. It's nothing compared to like the war, which killed millions and millions of people. If it kills one person, it's pretty like bad, in my opinion. I mean, 10, you're like, oh, start to worry. 100 people, when it gets to 1 million, you should probably look into it. Okay, so for context, apparently this guy doesn't believe evolution is real, and he's trying to prove that it's not with just some random things. It seems you want to believe that this theory is so self-evidently true that you resort to insulting perfect strangers like me. I'm just asking legitimate scientific questions that I believe you need to answer for yourself. The theory is supposed to stand on its own without your need to be militaristic about it. Honey, I have a degree in plant sciences with a major in genetics and phytopathology, and I'm currently writing a thesis on viral evolution. You're not asking legitimate scientific questions, you are shamefully unaware of evolution theory and spreading misinformation, disguising it as if you actually know stuff. I can't deny I'm angry, but it's not because I don't know enough about evolution, it's because you are a moron who pretends to know what you're talking about and trying to lecture me with misinformation on the very subject I've studied for years. Clean up your mess? Haha, how? Using an app from your smartphone? I think you need to pay more attention. I'm not from the old school, not from the newest one. I also know there are things to correct, but I don't blame my grandparents or my parents because I know they did their best they could and knew to do. Thanks to older generations, we have a lot of advantages, knowledge and the tools now to fix and reverse the damage that progress caused. The only problem? The apathetic new generations who are incapable of following an order, respect the elders, and think they deserve everything without doing nothing. Okay, Boomer, run along and follow an order. It stood everyone in good stead from the Great War to Afghanistan, and while you label new generations as apathetic, it's worth noting that the apathy of your generation and the generations which precede it is exactly what gave us rampant capitalism, runaway government power, the pillage of our natural resources, the dehumanization of minorities, and the destruction of our natural world. And no, technology will not reverse the injustices of the past. Instead, it's concentrating them exponentially. The wealth gap is growing daily, technology is enabling mass surveillance used in the profiling and subjugation of minorities, mechanization has resulted in the fastest destruction of our natural world in history, we're in the midst of the 6th Holocene extinction for heaven's sake, and the list just carries on with no end in sight. And again, no, this wasn't a route followed by misguided search for progress where mistakes were made. We had plenty of time to put a stop to all of this. We have known about the risks of what we were doing since the mid-40s. We really understood what we were doing in the 70s. By the late 80s, the writing was on the wall. We knew exactly what we were doing, and what did your generation and those which preceded it do about any of it? Nothing. Nothing at all. And yet, here you are, upset because people believe and vocalize that they're entitled to an equal footing in life, that they shouldn't have to inherit a planet which has been destroyed to the point of collapse, that people shouldn't be abused by the people we elect. It upsets you when we protest. It upsets you when we take action. You call us apathetic, yet you allow it all to get to this point in the name of greed and not progress. Your generation and those that preceded it allowed us to reach this point because you didn't have the balls to ignore a bad order, because you gave respect to people with money and power instead of people who actually deserved it. You stood by idly and allowed those people to destroy the planet your children now have to inherit, because life was pretty easy for you. You don't deserve respect, you deserve scorn, you bootlicking boomer. Wow, someone did debate class or something. That was put together, that was a rant. That was a real rant at that person. This was on a Morgs video. Oh yeah, people only watch your videos to see if ad blocker worked. Does it work? Oh wow, I don't see 300 ads. Only 10. Alright, it worked. Hi, I'm PlayStation Support Bot. I can help you with a PlayStation Store refund request. Before we begin, is your refund request regarding Cyberpunk 2077? We don't even have to lie to the bot anymore. That bot has more advanced AI than the game. I remember watching a video earlier where the guy's like, hey, thank you for calling Walmart. Is your call about PlayStation 5 stock? And the guy was like, wait, how do you know I was calling about that? And he was like, because everyone is. If you were really a Star Wars fan, you would know that Star Wars has always been filled with strong female characters. Hope you got the virtue signaling kudos you were looking for. I rolled. Fun fact, not only am I really a Star Wars fan, I also happen to voice a Star Wars character, who just so happens to be one of those strong female characters. That doesn't make what I saw in the season finale of The Mandalorian any less thrilling or awe-inspiring. I haven't seen any of The Mandalorian yet, like in depth, so you've got to explain this. Twitch bans the word simp. Ah, damn, they're banning their own employees? No, what they've done is ban the word that gets used against their own employees. Like, there's a clause where it's like, you are not allowed to say anything about Twitch staff members. It's so, yeah, they're just weird. This guy is complaining about white people like having privilege and giving away money, I think. Wow, I didn't know white Brooklyn podcasters had $275K to give. Bro, you're literally a white guy who lives in Brooklyn and goes to Columbia Uni. This is projection on a level unknown to mankind. No matter what they died of, they're gonna say it's COVID. This is a ridiculous conspiracy theory, and it's inherently false. Here's some facts because I'm so tired of people saying this BS. The state of Louisiana averages around 40K deaths a year. Using data from 2017, the most recent available, LA reported a total of 45,824 deaths. In Region 8, parishes of Ouachita, Union, Lincoln, these things, there were a total of 8,884 deaths. In comparison comparison to COVID deaths in the year of 2020, Region A had a total of 646, and the state has reported a total of 7,042. Do you see how that would make no sense if they were reporting every death as COVID? The number of COVID deaths wouldn't be 7K, it would be way higher. The internet is free. Please do some research before spreading false information. And I guarantee that person will reply with, "Okay, sheep," and completely ratio them, like they'll get like 500 of the Karens to like it. My biggest flex is, I'm unvaccinated. So, your biggest flex is that you're a biohazard? Interesting. Speaking of biohazards, these videos are radioactive, so please click them so that they don't spread. It's gonna hit me. I'm dying here, it's radiating, please click them.